Bro, why are protocols so hard? Why are there so many of them? Why can't there just be one universal standard? Why does this have to be so confusing?
Why?
Why?
Why? What?
Why don't you teach us anything? Why do fools fall in love?
Stop these questions!
The biggest hurdle for me when I was just beginning this hobby was learning what a protocol was. Not only that, but learning what protocol to use and why we even need them in the first place. For some reason, I expected it to work like those RC X-Mods cars you used to get from Radio Shack before they shipped the bed. You know, just put the battery in the controller, charge up the RC, and just send it. But I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. So I then proceeded to bury myself in tons of information. And my God, it felt like I was in summer school. So I want to make this video a light summary of everything I've learned about what a protocol is and the most popular protocols in use today, in the simplest way I can possibly do it. So what is a protocol? To make it simple, a protocol is the link in communication between you and your drone and you, and even the flight controller and the ESC. And in FPV, protocols can be divided into 3 separate groups: transmitter protocols, receiver protocols, and ESC protocols. We're going to be focused on radio transmitter protocols and receiver protocols. So when you're looking for a radio transmitter or a controller, if you will, you're going to come across different protocol modules that you could purchase to be embedded within it. It'll most likely either be ELRS, a 4-in-1 module, CC2500, or TBS Crossfire. Let's talk about the 4-in-1 module. A 4-in-1 is considered a multi-protocol module housing, let me read these off: CC2500, NRF24L01, A7105, and CYRF6936 chipsets that are considered to be legacy protocols like FrSky, FlySky, DSMX, and everything else in between.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
No offense to any of you all that still use these protocols, and if you know any nicknames for them, please let me know, because honestly, they're stupid long and they kind of remind me of how AMD named their GPUs, but that's neither here nor there. This module is going to essentially widen the functionality of your module, allowing you to connect to different protocols and sub-protocols, and there's tons of them, and I'll let you look that up because we'd be here all day. But if you know you're going to be flying RC planes or driving RC cars or toys or anything like that, this is going to be a module that you want to look into. As for drones, you're more than likely not going to need this module, especially if you're into bind and flies. You're more than likely going to see ELRS or TBS Crossfire. Next, we have Crossfire. Crossfire is a very popular protocol, although a little bit older at this point. Many of the OG FPV pilots are very familiar with this, and some probably still fly this protocol as well. It's reliable, offers long-range capability, there's tons of guides for how to set it up, and there's a lot of receiver and module options to pick from. This protocol operates on the 900 MHz band, so you'll get great penetration through obstacles too. You'll also notice that drones that have TBS Crossfire equipped tend to have longer antennas, so depending on what frame you have, it could be an issue depending on where you want to mount it. Apparently, it's a really good protocol and it just works. The only downside is it can get a bit pricey. And then we have ELRS, which is newer and has come to be adopted pretty quickly. ELRS is offered in 2 different forms: 915 MHz, which is for longer ranges, and 2.4 GHz, which is for shorter ranges. It's also known for having low latency and being very affordable. And there's a huge community, including Discord servers and Reddit pages. There's also documentation on the ELRS website that'll walk you through how to troubleshoot. And since it's open source, the receivers and transmitters are all cross-compatible regardless of who they are manufactured by. It's also pretty easy to update the firmware, whether you want to do that through Wi-Fi or USB with flight controller pass-through with the ELRS configurator. And then we have DJI, and DJI uses their own proprietary protocols for communication. You'll see this advertised as BNF DJI or O3 PNP. This is the most convenient protocol, but also the most limiting. Don't do it. No additional receiver is needed. The only thing that you need is the O3 Air Unit or the Caddx Vista and the DJI FPV remote controller 2. Buy your own transmitter. Allergies, man. Once you brought a hole through your pocket with that, the only thing that you need to do is power on the O3 air unit, power on the remote controller, and then press the bind button on the O3 air unit until it flashes red, and then hold down the power button on the remote controller until it beeps. When it stops beeping, everything should be connected and it should all work properly. From that point, all you gotta do is just set up the remote mappings in Betaflight to your liking. These steps should work for the Caddx Vista 2, but please do your own due diligence because I believe there's some specific requirements that you need to have met prior to having it work. Binding your remote controller and your receiver with other protocols, especially ELRS, is going to require the blood of Christ, a sacrificial lamb, and a limb of your choice. But hey, it's more worth it in the end because you won't be stuck with using the O3 air unit or the Caddx Vista with only the FPV DJI remote controller too. So choose wisely, but in my humble opinion, I believe ELRS is really good, especially once you get past the annoying setup. All you have to do is create a binding phrase and have it match between your receiver and transmitter. Once you have that set up, once you turn on your remote, it'll automatically bind and you don't have to do anything else extra. It's pretty easy. Now the second part of this is going to be picking your drone, which is going to require you to match whatever protocol you have for your radio to whatever protocol you have for the receiver that's going to be attached to the flight controller of your drone. So what is this going to look like? Well, when you go to websites like Access Flying, Get FPV, Race Day Quads, blah, 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 whatever, what have you, they're usually going to have the protocol listed in the description of the drone, or it's going to be listed as an option that you can choose from prior to making a purchase commitment. So for example, if you choose a Radio Master Boxer like I have, say you go with ELRS, you're going to have to choose a drone that is going to come equipped with ELRS or purchase a receiver that is going to be compatible with ELRS. And that process is going to be the same with any protocol that you choose to go with, except for DJI. Now, there's tons and tons of protocols, and I'm sure I've left your favorite one out, but to be honest, it's pretty subjective when it comes to formulating an opinion about what protocol to use and why you prefer that protocol. I know for me, when I was trying to figure out what protocol to use, I kind of went with the one everyone was excited about and that was considered to be future-proof, because what else are you going to do when you're new and know nothing, right? Your decision is pretty much going to be an amalgamation of all the information that you've sourced until you're able to get firsthand experience yourself. So there you have it. Hopefully I broke this down in the most simple way possible. We're both learning as we go here, so if you know anything about protocols I didn't mention, feel free to just throw it in the comments. This shit is confusing sometimes and your help goes a very long way. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Catch you later.